Good afternoon and welcome to this edition of KTN Live at 1. It's the 23rd of June 2013. Glad to have your company this afternoon. My name is Betty Kyalo. Now, political leaders from Mandera and Wajir counties are at this moment still holed up in a meeting here in Nairobi over the latest flare-up of violence in the two counties in northeastern Kenya. The leaders, who include Majority Leader Aden Duale, Senator Yusuf Haji and several members of parliament, are joined by religious leaders. The leaders met with unconfirmed reports indicating that several people have been killed this morning in Banissa village. On Friday night, 4 people were killed after armed militia attacked 2 trucks at Elders in Wajir County. The incident sparked off a retaliatory attack that left 5 people dead after bandits descended on 2 villages in Banissa in Mandera County. Hostilities between the Dagodia and Gari communities in Mandera and Wajir have left at least 26 people dead in the last 10 days. The Central Organization of Trade Unions has urged the government to adhere to the International Labour Conventions as it tries to resolve the teachers' and nurses' strikes. While speaking at a press conference earlier today, the Court Secretary General Francis Atwoli insisted that the government should embrace social dialogue negotiations with officials from the unions as a way of resolving the strikes. The Court officials jetted back into the country yesterday from Geneva, Switzerland, where they attended an International Labour Organization's conference.
We must impress upon social dialogue. Ni lazima tukubali kuketi chini na kujadiliana. That is what all the ILO says. The newly appointed principal secretary is one of the most experienced person. I've worked with him for more than 10 years in the National Bank of Kenya, where I've been a director. The government should make them sit with the teachers and with the civil servants union and with the Kudeia, which represents the nurses, and make sure, and the lecturers, and make sure that they negotiate. They have a negotiated document other than recommendations, or this was recommended, or this was said, because anybody can say something politically, nikichaguliwa nitaongeza mshahara. Akifika huko anapata mambo ni magumu ya budget, inakuwa ni ngumu na unasema uliniagiza utaniongeza mshahara. But we need documented things. They sit down to work out on a document.
Now, still on matters labour, the Kenya National Union of Teachers has maintained that the planned nationwide teachers' strike is set to begin any time this week. The union's National Executive Committee is set to meet tomorrow to deliberate on the date that the strike is set to begin. Speaking in Nyandarua County during the annual NUT General Meeting, the National Deputy Secretary General Mudzo Nzili said the meeting has been called so that the top union organ can decide on the way forward regarding their payments.
We have teachers today living in abject poverty, hence they cannot afford to live in a decent house. They cannot afford to construct their own houses. The economic survey document is very open, and we are saying this: a national strike, a clean, clear, strategic, strong, legal national strike is coming. We are telling Kaimenyi, open the way, we are coming. We are telling everybody, open the way, we are coming. We are coming in a big way.
Now, a mission to rescue and treat a snared juvenile male elephant turned into a cat-and-mouse chase for the Kenya Wildlife Services rangers in Mount Kenya National Park. The elephant, estimated to be about 3 years old, was discovered in a bushy area at Evegu village. We'll take a look at the injured but very naughty elephant that turned a rescue operation into a hide-and-seek affair. 8 a.m. and the KWS officers, on receiving news that a jumbo had strayed into human settlement from the Mount Kenya National Park, promptly arrive at Thegu village in Sagana to take care of the animal business.
Kuja hapa nikakuta watu wakiwa mingi hapa, sasa nikawaambia wasipige hiyo ndovu. Nikachukua simu nikapigia askari wengine, nikamwambia hapa hakona kandovu kandogo na hakona kaba kwa mguu.
It wasn't an easy task as hours flew past with the officers trying to tranquilize the elephant. They tried and tried and tried once more. Their efforts bore success several hours later when the jumbo came tumbling down. It is after the successful operation that the KWS veterinarians noticed that the elephant had an injury. He was treated while residents watched from a distance. However, as this went on, our crew met with a few residents who had some interesting things to say.
Ni mingi inakujaga kila wakati. Inatusukua, inakula miwa yetu, machaba, mahindi, kila kitu inakula, inamaliza. Kwa hivyo wenyewe wakunje wachukue hii madofu warudishe.
It was definitely a sigh of relief when the elephant was airlifted back home. Hundreds of kilometers away at the Lower Conservancy, another animal, this round the endangered gravy zebra, was on its knees after it had been spared. The gravy zebra, whose population is now less than 3,000, can only be found in Kenya and southern Ethiopia.
Away with the elephants and zebras, now a section of political leaders from the Western region are calling on all political leaders from the region to unite and work together in a bid to remain relevant in the political arena. While speaking at a funeral service in Vihiga County, the leaders, among them Vihiga Senator George Kaneri and former National Assembly Speaker Kenneth Marende, expressed their dissatisfaction over the appointment of the cabinet secretaries and other key government positions, saying the region did not get a fair share.
Naona lazima tujifunze, kwa sababu kama ni funzo watu ya jamii ya Waluya, watu wa jamii wa Milembe wangepata ni wakati huu, kutoka kuwa na ministers 8 pamoja na attorney general 9 na ukiweka speaker 10, mmekuja sasa mko na minister 1 peke yake. Lazima msikie uchungu, because this is reality. Na muamke, muelewe kuwa siasa ni rasilimali kubwa, ni rasilimali ya maana. Na tusicheze na siasa. Kura ikifika wakati mwingine, nenda upige kura. Na ikiwezekana upige kura kwa Mluya, kwa sababu hao wengine wanapiga kwa watu yao. Sasa nyinyi mkicheza, mkisema ati sisi ndio tunapenda kila mtu, sisi ndio tunapenda kila mtu, na Kenya hii mnaenda wapi?
Jukumu letu sisi viongozi wa huu mkoa wa Magharibi kukuja pamoja na kuamua tutaanza kufanya kazi namna gani. Kwa hivyo hilo ndilo jambo la muhimu, na mimi kama mbunge wa Muhaya, mimi nimesema kwamba nataka tukae pamoja wabunge wote, na tusahau maneno ya chama. Chama ni kama gari ya kupeleka wewe kwa bunge. Sisi tunataka tukae kama viongozi wa Western na tuone tutaelekea namna gani kama tutafika huko 2017.
Tunasema tunataka tulete Luya Nation. Waluya tukae pamoja na nyinyi Musalia Mudavadi. Na wewe ndugu yangu Jirongo, kama mtaki kusikizana mkae kando, tuwapatie vijana wa waongozi.
Now, Turkana Central lawmaker John Lodepe has urged the government to boost border security along the Uganda, South Sudan and Ethiopia borders that neighbor Turkana County in order to check a proliferation of small arms and light weapons that are fueling cattle rustling in the North Rift. His sentiments have been echoed by a senior pastor at Parklands Baptist Church in Nairobi, who says the church would partner with leaders in Turkana County to foster peace as well as help shift the mindset of residents from livestock keeping to agriculture. Patrick Amimo has these details.
Chapter 6 verse 33 says,
the Parklands Baptist Church organized the Turkana Peace Day that was dedicated to prayers and discussions on peace building in the region. Turkana Central MP John Lodepe joined the congregation for the brainstorming sessions. Cattle rustling is a major security concern in Turkana County that has left in its wake deaths, displacement of families and instability, which has stifled development.
Within 2 weeks, we have experienced 3 raids. The issue of cattle rustling actually is no longer the cultural as we used to know. It has gone to commercialization. You know, the people are now using cattle rustling as a way of getting income.
The porous international borders that neighbor Turkana County are rarely policed, making it easy to sneak in arms that fuel cattle rustling.
They give young men the guns, and they get returned back after raiding. When the young men bring back the livestock, they pay back the person who gave them the guns. People that are supposed to come for negotiation, who are practicing cattle rustling, they don't come. So those who come there are the normal guys who don't even practice.
Turkana County is arid. Residents often rely on food rations when droughts strike. Parklands Baptist Church has partnered with World Relief Kenya to provide relief food, drill boreholes to relieve water stress for both humans and livestock, and also encourage agriculture for food security.
The Turkana people are very important. They're valuable. They need to understand that one of the things we are doing is supporting young people in their school, secondary school, and then university, so that the Turkana people themselves can begin to get the skills and to begin to think differently from the way they have thought through the years.
The government has promised to initiate 25 irrigation projects in Turkana County this year to boost food security. Patrick Abimo, KTN.
Now, the last week saw some teachers go on strike, paralyzing learning in institutions as teachers push for better terms. It is a worrying development for parents with children in school. However, for those who have adopted homeschooling, they have nothing to worry about. It is a form of learning that has for many times been alien to Kenyans. However, the home-based education is gaining popularity fast. Currently, there are at least 50 homeschools in Nairobi alone, and the number is growing. Our reporter Najma Ismail visited one family that has adopted this form of education to find out what it is all about.
Whenever you hear the word learning, what comes to mind is a formal setting complete with classes, a playground and teachers' quarters. However, a new phenomenon is catching up fast in Kenya. Homeschooling is the education of children at home done by parents or by tutors. DT Olawale is a Nigerian missionary in Kenya who has chosen to take the homeschooling route. His wife, Wale, acts as the tutor to their 2 daughters.
What we are learning here is that God takes care of everything.
She says a typical school day for them starts at 6:30 a.m. The girls are expected to do their personal devotion, which is prayers at that time, then have breakfast later on, and then head to class, which is in their living room at 8:30 a.m. sharp. They then have an opening activity which includes pledging allegiance to the Bible, Christianity, and also singing the national anthem.
I check their goals for the day to be sure that they've set goals that they can accomplish for the day. I look through the paces in case there is something for the supervisor to sign and somebody has not given me to sign, just to make sure that the work is thorough, okay? If there are gaps that they have left, maybe you're supposed to write 4 sentences, but you wrote 2 and left 2. So I get them to do all of that.
And if you're wondering about homework, indeed they also get to have homework. And what happens if one does not complete their homework?
If homework has not been done, there is something we call demerits. A child gets demerits, and no child wants demerits, because at the end of the term, when you are counting all the merits you have, there are rewards that goes with it. So if you have more of the merits, it reduces what reward.
The syllabus Olawale's family is using is called the Accelerated Christian Education. However, there are other syllabuses that are available for homeschooling in Kenya. The homeschools share the same schedule and term timetable as other public or private schools in the country. They have the 3 school terms and also go on half-term. They have tea breaks at around 10 a.m. and lunch break at 1 p.m. and their classes end at 5 p.m. in the evening. Several homeschools regularly get together and have different activities where the children get to interact, and if they are required to do practical learning, they visit public or private schools to be able to use their facilities. Olawale explains how friendly this method is to his pockets.
Because sometimes some people thought the reason why some parents opt for homeschooling is because they don't want to pay fees or they cannot afford fees. But actually, at the end of the day, it's expensive. But for example, that science package I was talking about, the video and all that, sometimes it can cost as much as 30,000 Kenyan shillings.
Well, there you have it. Homeschooling is not just limited to missionaries. Any family in Kenya can homeschool, but first you have to go through a certain training. Najma Ismail, KTN.
Thanks, Najma, but that would probably work with disciplined children like the ones in your story. Well, now to our weekly Survivors series. At the tender age of 2, Beryl Wamera knew that she wanted to be a sprinter. Not just any sprinter, but the best. This weekend, she took her chances and ran with the best of the best in the National Athletics Championships at the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani. The only difference between her and the rest of the field is that she could not hear the cheering from her friends and family, and she stands. Well, up next is Catherine Omwanto with this week's edition of Survivor.
The crowd at the Kasarani Sports Stadium cheer as the women give it their all in the 100-meter sprint. A rising star in the Kenya athletics does not hear a sound. Since birth, Beryl has never had the pleasure of hearing her mother's voice or chatter and laughter of her 7 siblings. Out of the 8 children in Beryl's family, 3 were born deaf, that is Beryl, David, and Ryle. Incidentally, these 3 are all very good runners and are here to try out for the National Athletics Championships at Kasarani. Beryl sat for her Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examination in 2012 and scored a C. She hopes athletics will take her through the next chapter of her life, through tertiary education, and perhaps even see a world beyond our borders. But for that to happen, she has to work hard and convince those in the athletics community that being deaf has nothing to do with being the next Florence Griffith-Joyner, who clocked the world record of 10.49 seconds in the 100-meter sprint.
Just for inference, last time he was to fly to Rwanda and Barcelona, that is in Spain. But because they say this is deaf, no, we will not carry you because we don't know how to help you there. And that's what sometimes get them not encouraged.
Though some athletic scouts shy away from her after hearing that she's deaf, they could be missing out. Beryl is a force to reckon with in the 100, 200 and 800 meter races. How does she do it, you ask? Since she is blind, Beryl's other senses are heightened. With her sense of touch, she can feel even the slightest vibrations, even the start gun going off. With her eyes, Beryl keeps focus on the man with the flag. And as she takes off, she just gives it everything she's got. Her brother David is the same, keen on his surroundings, making sure that he internalizes every single detail.
Beryl managed to make it to the semi-finals in her first attempt at the National Athletics Championships. Though she won't be representing the country in Russia, this doesn't mean that Beryl will stop trying to accomplish her dreams. She will try, and try again. And who knows, maybe one day she'll represent the country in the Paralympics. Catherine Omwanto for the Survivor Series.
So inspiring, beating the odds. Now moving on to the international scene. Until recently, online shopping in Nigeria was far from popular due to the prevalence of internet scams. But all that has changed with the arrival of Jumia. The startup company's popularity has rocketed in the past year and surprisingly creates 2 new jobs every single day.
Just a little over a year ago, Jumia resembled any other online startup. But what began with just 10 employees has ballooned into a 450-man operation and given rise to the 4th most popular website in Nigeria, taking the online shopping market by storm.
I doubt there are many markets in the world with 160 million people, growing middle class, and nothing in terms of organized retail. And so for us, that's the vision that Jumia has, to help build organized retail here in the largest country in Africa.
Jumia's strength is that it delivers straight to the customer's door, even in the north of the country and in other remote areas. To get around the nationwide problem of online scamming, Jumia allows customers to, if they choose, pay for their items once it's been delivered.
I can look at it and pay straight here, because sometimes, it's not always reliable to use cards. You're not sure whether to use your card and your details online to share your information, but it's always easier when you can see the person, you can see your item, and you can pay for it straight away.
Keen to win trust, Jumia also employs a team of around 100 salesmen and women to show prospective customers how the service works. It's this human touch that is key to building Jumia's reputation and helping win over Nigerians to online shopping.
Nigeria is more of an offline market, but bringing in online market into Nigeria. We believe that we still need to introduce online shopping to Nigerians, and the only way to do it is having people meet them in person.
Jumia already exists in Kenya, Egypt and Morocco and hopes to repeat its recent success in Nigeria in West Africa.
Now, foreign diplomats and journalists this past week made a rare visit to Sudan's troubled western region of Darfur, where its problems were evident beneath the wide open skies. The team landed in Russian helicopters of the African Union UN mission in Darfur, landing just outside the barbed wire enclosed base. Security officers accompanying one delegate chambered rounds in their rifles and pistols as soon as the aircraft touched down, and the diplomats climbed aboard armored vehicles. Rebels of the Sudan Liberation Army's Mini-Minawi faction are present in the region, and there have been attacks on commercial convoys along with armed robberies. I think one day we should get Nick Mudimba or Hassan Juma to explain to us all what the birdies and the boogies are all about. Thank you very much for watching this edition of KTN Live at 1. My name is Betty Kialo. Keep it KTN.